When you're the best, you say it with your chest. 20, 12, and 15. Throw them bows. Break out the brooms for the Bucks. They sweep the Miami Heat in 4 games. They win Game 4, 120-103. Game 1, there was a margin of 2 points. Over the last 3 games, the Bucks' margin of victory was 80 points. Let's just say that they were focused. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ro here in Studio V. It is Playoff Central Live, presented by State Farm. I have 2 coaches in me, so you're about to get enlightened, engaged, and entertained right here. Lloyd Pierce is on set with me right here in the VIP section. That is Sam Mitchell. Coach, I'll come to you first. Well, I say that I have to specify. Coach Mitchell, your immediate reaction seeing what happened with this Miami Heat team and the Bucks moving on.
I think the team, when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they're playing the best playoff basketball of anyone thus far in the East and Western Conference, and they proved it. Look, Miami's a tough out, mentally tough, physically tough, and Milwaukee just handled them. Other than that first game, Game 1 in Milwaukee, Milwaukee has dominated this series. They're clearly the best team, and I think Milwaukee remembered the beating that Miami put on them in the bubble and all the trash talk that came with it, and they gave it back to Miami in spades. Right now, if you're Milwaukee, you got to feel good about yourself because they're playing great. They're going to get a chance to get rested. And right now, you just said it, the sweep is on, baby. So Milwaukee right now, they get to sit back, get rested, and get their mind ready for round 2.
Indeed, a lot of great performances today individually from the Milwaukee Bucks. You have Giannis, who has his first career triple-double, the 3rd triple-double in Milwaukee Bucks history. Bryn Forbes with 7 threes. You have 4 different players scoring over 20. Of the players from the Milwaukee Bucks, Coach, who stood out to you?
Well, it's Giannis, and he's the star of that team. He's the leader on that team, and he had to come out and give a tremendous performance. I thought Miami did a great job of playing with a sense of urgency in the first half. They got Giannis with 3 fouls, Brook Lopez with 3 fouls, and Milwaukee's only down 5. And so really, your star needs to be a star, whether it's scoring, rebounding, being a presence in the paint, or just finding opportunities for other guys, and Giannis did all of that tonight.
Yeah, we saw the Miami Heat. They jumped out early. They had everything exactly where they wanted it. They had the halftime lead. But Coach Mitchell, that 3rd quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks came out with that 26-8 run and really took control of this game.
Well, talent. Look, when it comes playoff time, the regular season, Coach will tell you this, you can win games by outplaying people and playing harder in the regular season. Come playoffs, everybody plays hard. So when the more talented team picks up their intensity and they lock in on you, man, it is tough. And when you look at what Milwaukee did to Miami, they took advantage of every opportunity that Miami gave them. Anything that Miami didn't bring to the table, Milwaukee destroyed it, took advantage of it. So you look at this Bucks team right now, look at Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Giannis, of course, with a triple-double. Miami did a good job trying to take the ball out of his hand and stop him from being a scorer. You know what? I just go get 15 assists and help my team win in other ways. And so that's the level of maturity this Milwaukee Bucks team have. And I'm telling you, this is a different team that people are going to be facing than last year or the year before. This Milwaukee Bucks team is for real, and they got the players to prove it.
Coach Mitchell, you mentioned one word when you mentioned maturity, and I'll bring this to you, LP. This team right here, we know the Milwaukee Bucks, they have talent. They're usually the number 1 seed overall. We look back the past couple of seasons, however, didn't necessarily perform as they were expected to in the postseason. Where do you think their mindset is right now, knowing that they've knocked off a team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year? Where do you think their mindset is right now as they move forward?
Yeah, I mean, maturity is a key word, and they went out in the offseason and added maturity to that locker room. You bring in a guy like Drew Holiday, who's now playing on a grander stage, and he's performing at a very mature, well-experienced, well-versed point guard to lead that team. You bring in a P.J. Tucker, who is a solid veteran locker room guy, who brings not only a voice but a presence. And so this team knows where they've struggled in the past, and they address that with some of the acquisitions in the offseason. And you're seeing that poise, you're seeing that productivity, but you're seeing it from a veteran core of guys who've been there, who've done that, and they're doing it together.
Yeah, definitely a different team when you talk about Drew Holiday and you also bring in P.J. Tucker. Don't forget about Bobby Portis, who's really bolstered that bench. Middleton elevating his game as well. Both of these teams not necessarily the same teams that we saw last season in Orlando in the bubble. So, Coach Mitchell, let's just look forward looking at this Miami Heat team. We saw that they didn't have the best year record-wise. They had a lot of problems with injuries and health and safety protocols. What's next for this Miami Heat team? Because we know that core is there and they have a lot of talent with 2 cornerstones with Jimmy Butler and you have Bam there. What happens next for this Miami Heat team?
Well, when you look at these free agents, they got some serious decisions. You got Goran Dragic, Victor Oladipo, Kendrick Nunn. Look, they got some Duncan Robinson, one of the best shooters in the league. They got some decisions to make, and then they got to figure out what are they going to do going forward right now. When you look at Brooklyn, you look at Philadelphia, you look at Milwaukee, Atlanta, and all these other young teams coming, Miami right now is starting to have some slippage. Their best players are starting to get a little older, and they need to figure out, is Bam a center or a power forward? In the Eastern Conference, if you think Bam is going to go up against Joel Embiid for the next 5 to 10 years and outplay him at that center position, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to reach his full potential if they can find a bigger guy to play alongside him and move him to the power forward, because you saw in this series, Brook Lopez and Giannis was just too much for Bam, too big, and so they just engulfed him. So Miami got some decisions to make, how to put together a team that can contend with Philly, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn, Atlanta, and some of the others, the Knicks, going forward.
First time Coach Spo's been swept out in the first round. LP, I'll bring this one to you. So let's put on that Coach Spo hat, or maybe the Pat Riley hat per se. If you're the Miami Heat right now, what type of players, what type of skill sets are you looking to bring into this Heat program?
Well, I think you adjust to where the league is. And when you get to the playoffs, you see the shot creators, shot makers, and that's what they missed in this series. They struggle to score on the offensive end. They're always going to have that Miami culture. They're always going to try and make the adjustments they need to make to be contenders. That's the Pat Riley way. But they got to find some shot creators. As Coach mentioned, they've got a lot of questions to answer with regards to free agency, and it starts with Dragic, Kendrick Nunn, and then with shooting. Duncan Robinson is a free agent as well. So can they fill that void? Can they go out and find another shot creator, shot maker, and really bolster that roster as they normally do in the offseason anyways?
Indeed, a lot of things need to happen for this Miami Heat team. Well, you speak about shot makers and shot creators. Giannis Antetokounmpo is both of those things, and he sat down after the game with the Hall of Famer inside crew.
Giannis, thanks for taking it.
Now it's time for the Mountain Dew shot chart. Giannis, all business in that post-game interview with the Hall of Famers on Inside. You see this shot chart a little bit different, but pretty much still the same. A lot of points very close to the basket in the painted area. Did venture out outside the arc and take some threes, but we know where his bread is buttered. 20, 12, and 15, his first playoff career triple-double. Coach Pierce, when we see Giannis, we know what he's capable of doing, and people want him to step outside. Where do you think he is best utilized?
You know, I think when he has the basketball in his hands, he's a threat. You're going to shift the defense over towards where he is, and that's just going to open up some opportunities. The more he can put pressure down the hill and at the rim, the more the defense is going to have to converge, and that's where you see guys like Bryn Forbes and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday making those three-point shots, even Bobby Portis when he's out there. But putting the ball in his hands makes the defense have to collapse. Making the defense have to collapse is going to open up some other opportunities for other guys. That's why he had a triple-double today.
Indeed, and we've seen these opportunities present themselves before, but Coach Mitchell, sometimes in the postseason, they build that wall that's famous for slowing Giannis down, and sometimes adjustments aren't made. What did you think about the Bucks and the coaching staff and maybe altering some things so they had success and didn't run into those same walls that they had before?
Well, when you look at that shot chart, he missed some threes. He took some just to keep the defense honest, but he did all his damage in the paint. And that's the thing that I want to see. When you have a size advantage in Giannis and Brook Lopez, why are you playing these guys 30 feet from the basket? It's the playoff time. Put those guys in the paint, let them punish smaller players. And when you look at this, 15 assists, that means he's catching the ball deep. Brook Lopez is a devastating scorer in the paint. I actually coached him when he was in New Jersey before they moved to Brooklyn, and he simply played 15 feet in. So when you look at what Brook Lopez, look at those numbers, guys. 11 for 15, 25 and 8 and 2 blocks. Brook Lopez and Giannis playing in the post, they bring a different dynamic to this Bucks team. And then when you look at Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton on the outside, and oh, by the way, Brook can step out and shoot the three, and those two guys can step out and shoot the three. So this is the most versatile team that Coach Bud has had in Milwaukee. And again, I'm going to say it again. They're playing the best playoff basketball than anybody in the East and West, and they're going to be rested and as healthy as can be this time of year. Watch out.
Watch out. Speaking of watch out, we'll look forward to the next round. We don't know if it'll be the Boston Celtics or the Brooklyn Nets. Some people think probably going to be the Brooklyn Nets, but just looking forward to that. How valuable is a big, when you have Lopez, how valuable is he going to be moving forward in the series? Let's just say they're going to play Brooklyn.
Well, I think the biggest thing is you forget how dominant a post player he was when he started his career in New Jersey. He's a guy that's capable of scoring, has been a scorer, has been a primary scorer. They just don't need him to do that every single night. And so if you go through a Brooklyn or even a Boston in the next series, who are the bigs that are going to be able to match up with both Giannis and Brook? Because you can throw the ball into Giannis in the post, but you can also throw it down there to Brook. He's done a tremendous job creating second chance opportunities. He's done a tremendous job, as he did tonight, of scoring in the paint. But he's also a presence defensively. So his value is going to increase with each round, especially if they make it even further and get to see Joel Embiid in the later rounds.
Interesting. Be interesting to see what happens moving forward. The first team that is advanced so far, and they are led by head coach, Coach Bud. Let's take a listen. He's at the podium.